And good evening and welcome to this edition of Train Aficionado Live. I'm Jonathan Higgins, live in our studios right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is that time of the year where you start to get ready to go out rail fanning. The weather is getting a lot warmer, and it's time to get that scanner ready for listening to railroad activity trackside. So tonight we're going to talk about how to lay out your radio, particularly the new radios, the Uniden Bearcat 160DN and 260DN. So we're going to go about how to program your radio by bank. We're not going to go into the nooks and crannies of, the steps of programming, but some tips and tricks on how to lay out the programming inside of your radio. So let's go over a couple of things in our slide deck this evening. So tonight we're talking about the 160 and 260DN bank programming for Railfans. So just as important as programming your scanner, it's also important how you lay out the programming inside of the radio as well. We want to remind you that, supporting the channel, you can shop our swag shop, trainaficionado.com. You can get some hoodies, t-shirts, hats, whole bunch of things on our website. So go to trainaficionado.com, check out our blog. We have several different rail fanning guides as well. Horseshoe Curve, just to name a few of those. You can definitely check that out on our website, trainaficionado.com. While you're here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to our social media as well. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Train Aficionado. And, of course, don't forget to bookmark our website. We actually have a great event coming up with the Cincinnati Railroad Club. I will be riding the Big Four trip that's going to be taking place by the Ohio Rail Experience. So ride the rails with the Cincinnati Railroad Club from Cincinnati to Greensburg, Indiana. They actually have a fundraiser event to rent out car number 3200, which is a luxurious coach to accommodate 60 seats, spacious reclined seats, and expansive windows, so you can really take in the view. It does have air conditioning and heat as well. And you can purchase your tickets now for the event, which is Saturday, June the 28th of 2025, CincinnatiRRClub.org. Get your tickets now. They are going quickly. Once again, that's CincinnatiRRClub.org. And the train basically departs the Cincinnati area just before 9 a.m. So it's supposed to be a beautiful trip along railroad tracks that don't often see passenger service. So make sure you book your tickets now. So let's dive into the Uniden Bearcat BCD160DN bank programming for Railfans. So those of you that are not familiar, the Uniden Bearcat BCD160DN is the handheld scanner. This is able to do analog communication. It's also able to do NXDN and DMR conventional. It's got a larger memory. Rather than 500 channels, it services up to 1,000 channels. A little bit more robust than the 125AT. The biggest difference, it's got some digital on there. So if the railroads eventually go to NXDN, or if you're in an area where the railroads are already using some NXDN, this is going to be your radio of choice. So the handheld is pretty much looks and feels like the 125AT. It does have a larger price tag because it's able to do digital communications. It takes AA rechargeable batteries or alkaline batteries. It can be powered by the USB cable that comes with it. That also serves as the programming cable as well. Software, there is software available free from Uniden. And then also Butel has software as well, which is the ARC260 software, which is available through Butel's website and, of course, available through Scanner Master. So the handheld is great for being trackside. We also have the Base Mobile, which we'll take a look at right now, which is one of my favorites. It's basically all the features that you love about the 125AT in a base mobile version. So if you're going to put this in your vehicle or in your home, this is a great unit to do. Yet again, same as the portable, 1,000 channels, has NXDN and DMR conventional capability. It's great for if you're setting up a feed for radio reference or a personal feed. It does have that record jack output in the back, a larger, robust speaker because it's a base mobile. Works great in the vehicle, typically the same footprint and size of the ever so popular BCD260DN. So certainly a great base mobile. I love the 260DN. It's one of my favorite radios, base mobile wise, to monitor the railroads. The 125 AT still has a special place in my heart, and I occasionally use that trackside as well. Now we've kind of gone over the two radios, let's take a look at what a bank layout looks like. So with both of these radios, they have 10 banks. So basically the 1,000 channels are divided up amongst the 10 banks. So for example, bank number 1 will be channels 1 through 100. Bank 2 will be 101 to 200. Bank 3 would be going on and on and on. So so you kind of get the drift, so you can lay out the radio according to banks. You're probably thinking, why would I want to do this? Well, there's good reason. So the AAR railroad channels, or the Association of American Railroads, has designated channels that are listed and numbered. So for example, channels 001 through 97 are the most commonly used channels. What I recommend doing on the radio is lining up these channels by channel number on your scanner. So AAR channel 001 will be in channel 1, bank 1. AAR channel 2 will be in channel 2, so forth and so on. So the great thing about setting up this radio like this, you have all 97 of the typical railroad channels programmed up in the same fashion of your scanner. So let's say the dispatcher tells the crew to go to channel 56. You would hit on your scanner, hold 56, and then hold, and then it would bring you right to channel 56. So you wouldn't miss a single beat. The other thing, too, is you can run bank number 1 and use it as a service search. So it'll scan all 97 channels relatively quickly. And this can be used, of course, in both the United States and in Canada using these channels typically. So the great thing about this is you want to be able to program the radio up, matching up with the AAR channels. But we do have a few more channels other than the 1 through 97. So with narrow banding, they were able to splinter channels. So channels in between the channels. And these are occasionally used as well. So I would recommend lining these up in bank number 2. Now, of course, there's no channel 101, 102, and so forth. They start at 107 and then work their way to 197. So you would line up your programming again, starting at 107, putting an AAR 107 channel there, and then continuing all the way through. So this is definitely something that you can do on your scanner. So bank 2, I would put in these splintered channels. Now typically the 1 through 97, which we showed on the last slide, which is right here, is going to be probably the most popular bank that you're going to use. You may occasionally use this bank to be able to seek out some additional communication if they are using it. Now, what about the NXDN channels? Great question. So those are also numbered as well, starting at 107 and then working their way up to 488. So in order to accomplish this, you would need to use 2 banks, bank 4 and bank 5. So bank 4, you would basically put in channels 107 all the way up to 400. And then bank 5, you would put in 401 up to 488. Once you've done this, you have all the railroad channels programmed in. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, you want to be able to set these channels so they have digital receive only, because a lot of these channels are actually the analog channels. So what I would recommend doing here is setting these channels to receive digital only. So the radio, when it does scan this, it's only going to pick up digital radio transmissions on banks 4 and 5. You probably want to do the same thing on the analog channels as well and make it so it receives only analog communications. So you can use 4 and 5 to pick up digital, and then banks 1 and 2 to be able to pick up only analog communication. Typically, your radio is set by factory to receive all. The reason being, you want to be able to, distinguish, which banks are digital and which one's analog. You can make it receive all, but the thing is when you scan banks 4 and 5, it's also going to stop on that brother-sister channel. That's the analog version of it as well. So typically what I'll do is I'll set these digital banks to receive digital only, and then the analog banks to receive analog only. So what does this all look like once it's programmed? Let me show you. So basically what we have here is bank 1, AAR channels 001 to 097. Then we've got these splintered channels 107 to 197. And then we skip a bank, and then we cover the NXDN channels 307 to 400 and bank 4. And then in bank 5, we're at 401 to 488. And then we also have railroad data channels. Let's take a look at those. Those are going to be your head end and end of train devices. So typically those will emulate a beeping signal, and it's usually within a close proximity of you. It's a low-powered transmitter, and even the DPUs have these type of units inside there. They're otherwise known as an end of train or a FRED. So if you program these in to your scanner, I recommend putting this in bank number 10. So these are separated from all the other channels. If you're rail fanning by a yard, this is going to be going off like crazy. You're going to be hearing beeping from all different end of train devices. Now, the reason why you may want to program these frequencies in, you may be out in the middle of nowhere rail fanning, and they don't communicate on the radios very much. So when you start to hear this beeping on the radio, and let's say it's the end of train device, you know there's a train in the close proximity of you. So you can get ready with your camera, and hopefully you'll see it coming at you, one direction or the other. But a lot of times these can be handy when you're rail fanning out in the middle of nowhere, and this is the method of communication. As I always mention, with listening to the scanner, you want to make sure that you're programming it up properly and doing what you need to do here. So now you notice that we have bank 3, bank 6, bank 7, bank 8, and bank 9 empty. So those banks, you're going to put in your own local channels. So I still recommend programming in your local channels. So maybe bank 3 would be your super local hometown railroad channels. Bank 6, maybe you go out to Altoona, so you program in, the Altoona frequencies out there. Maybe bank 7, you go out to Boston. Bank 8, maybe you're in the Cincinnati area. Bank 9, maybe you go out to maybe Washington, D.C., that area. So you could basically use those other banks as local scans. Now, why do you want to do that, right? Why not just scan all 97 channels? The thing is, when you're scanning less, the scanner scans faster. So usually with Bank 1, I will use that as a service search. Once I've determined the frequencies that are used in that area, I will take the handful of those frequencies and program them into a bank. So maybe it's only 5 frequencies in one area. It'll scan through 5 frequencies a lot faster than 97 frequencies, which basically means you're not missing a ton of radio transmissions. Where it's scanning all 97, it takes longer to get around the horn. So you have quite a few banks that are available there. If there's no NXDN being used and the splinter frequencies are not being used, you could leave banks 2, 4, and 5. You could dedicate those to rail fanning spots versus setting up in this fashion. But if you're in areas where NXDN is being used and you're not sure of the frequencies, then I would certainly dedicate 4 and 5 to that scanning. As for the splintered frequencies, I'm not seeing a lot of use of those, so that may free up a bank if you're looking for an extra bank. Maybe you don't program in Bank 2. I highly recommend Bank 1 because those are the most popular railroad frequencies for the analog. So a lot of great ways to be able to program your radio. It's super simple using software. I highly recommend doing that. So where do you get these frequencies from? So I will show you how to get those frequencies right on my website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the Train Aficionado website, and we will take a look at that right now. So trainaficionado.com, and then it's a / what is it? Just trying to pull it up. Hold on one second. There we go. It's AAR-channels. So I'll pull up the website right now so you can kind of see it. So here we go. So this is the Train Aficionado website. I will put a link to this URL in the description of this video. And you can see here that you would use the website to be able to copy and paste those frequencies in. These columns do line up, so you would just copy and paste, in this case 50 at a time, and copy and paste it into the software, and then you would do the next 50, well, not really 50, but the remaining 97 in this column. Splintered frequencies are here in the next section, and then of course we've got our NXDN channels here. And what we've done is put blanks to cover 301, 302, and so forth. So you can just start copy and pasting right here. But remember, you're going to start this at channel 307. So you can use our website for programming your radio. Once again, that's trainaficionado.com / AAR-channels. Super helpful for programming your radio. Programming, I strongly recommend using the Butel software, which is really handy for doing that. Also, Uniden has free software. It's very basic, but it will do the job of being able to do the programming. So once again, looking at the programming here, you can see how we can divide up the programming. This template will work best on the newer radios, the 160 and 260DN, these radios. When you're programming the 125 AT, for example, because it's only 50 channels per bank, you're going to have to split the AAR channels 1 through 97 in between 2 banks versus 1. And then you wouldn't be programming in the NXDN channels on a 125 AT because it does not support digital. As for the railroad data channels, of course, your 125 AT does support that as well. So what we're going to do is we'll open this up to any questions that the audience may have regarding the 160 and 260DN. I'm just going to go through a couple of slides real quick and just remind you that you can shop the Train Aficionado swag shop at trainaficionado.com. We've got hats, t-shirts, hoodies, some coffee mugs, some real cool stuff on our website. So check that out at trainaficionado.com. Make sure you follow on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, and of course subscribe to YouTube, our channel right here. Don't miss any upcoming content, as you can see here. Make sure you check out, if you're from the Cincinnati, Ohio area, you can ride the rails with the Cincinnati Railroad Club. They're taking a train trip from Cincinnati to Greensburg, Indiana. It's supposed to be a beautiful trip out there where the Cincinnati Railroad Club has partnered up with Ohio Rail Experience. This will be next month, Saturday, June the 28th. Train will be departing the Cincinnati area at about, I think about 9 o'clock. Boarding starts before then. And then it's a beautiful excursion out. The club has the comfortable air-conditioned deluxe class car, 3200. This luxury coach can accommodate 60 passengers with spacious reclining seats, expansive windows. Get your tickets now at the Cincinnati rrclub.org website. We are selling quite quickly. There are 60 spots available, so we are already almost there with about, I think, over a quarter of it filled. So definitely get your tickets now, and then I'll be riding the train, so you'll be able to spend some time with me, and I'll be happy to chat with you about scanners and trains and all of that. It'll be a wonderful excursion. Once again, that's Saturday, June the 28th. So only right around the corner. So thank you so much for joining tonight's broadcast. We're really excited to be back on. Just want to give some updates. Train Aficionado is actually going to move to the second Wednesday of the month. Those of you that watch the Scanner Guys, that's going to shift to the fourth Wednesday of the month. I know there's been a lot of changes with programming. One of which is I'm the president of the Cincinnati Railroad Club, so trying to balance those events and trying to balance the Scanner Guys and Train Aficionado. I reduced down the shows to one show a month, one for Train Aficionado, one for the Scanner Guys. And the reason being of shifting the show to the second Wednesday of the month is it doesn't collide with the member meeting that's on the first Wednesday of the month. So I'm trying to balance the weeks as well. I mean, it gets kind of hectic, you know, on a Wednesday night having a live show and then having to host a members meeting on the following day and so forth. So hopefully this will make it a little bit easier. I see that a bunch of people have checked in. Thank you so much for joining. You know, Let's Go Rail Fanning. Chris Schultz is out there. Rail Air Gator. Union Pacific, Southern Pacific, 1943. Dale Osborne's out there. Anybody that I may have missed, you know, I appreciate you checking in tonight. Let's Go Rail Fanning asked, are there many railroads using NXDN channels? As of right now, a lot of the class 1s are staying analog unless it's within the yard. Now, the reason being is a lot of the equipment travels all over the country. So when the change happens, everybody has to do it all together because you can't have the infrastructure supporting digital and the equipment doesn't support it. So it's going to eventually happen over time. For the most part, you'll see NXDN being used on yards or short lines where there's no guest railroads, or maybe, you know, some unique situations where the guest of the railroad, the equipment supports it. From what I understand, as railroads update their equipment, they're updating with NXDN ready equipment. So if and when that does happen, they'll be ready to do that. But keep in mind, switching from an analog to a digital, it's not only their handhelds and their base units and their portables and all that business, it's also the infrastructure that's along the tracks. You know, the receive sites, the transmit sites, all have to be converted over to digital as well. So it's an undertaking. David's asking, do I know of a local place in Cincinnati that repairs scanners? I don't know of a local place that repairs scanners locally. There was one place that repairs scanners in Pennsylvania. I can't remember the name of the company. I believe it's in Pennsylvania. I'm not too sure if they're still doing it, but there's very few places that repair them. I know Uniden does repair their scanners. They charge you a fee to do that, and it's on their website. Basically, it's a set fee, and then they'll look at it and then be able to fix it. So, yeah, there's not a lot of places. I'm not aware of any places in the Cincinnati area. I know R&L Electronics, that's in Hamilton, Ohio, sells some scanner stuff. I don't believe they do any repairs whatsoever. Trainman 64, welcome to the broadcast. Yes, Dale, that's right. That was escaping me. G&G Communications. If you do a Google search on G&G Communications, they do some repairs to scanners. You can call them up. They do have a telephone number to be able to do that. Dale mentions NXDN is used in mostly Loring and Billings yards on the main lines on the main line between the two yards. Yeah, so you're going to see some NXDN being used out there. As for the Cincinnati, Ohio area, there's not any NXDN that I know of that's being used, but there are some NXDN systems that are out there. Meetups are still happening. I didn't get a chance to put together the slide for the next meetup. So another local meetup that'll be happening here in the Cincinnati area will be Saturday, June the 7th from 8 a.m. until noon in Hamilton, Ohio, and at Butler Street. I have to make all the images and start promoting that. So I'll be there in Hamilton, Ohio by Butler Street for June the 7th, which is a Saturday from 8 a.m. to noon. So hopefully we'll see you there. And then the following months we should have some additional Railfan meetups until the fall. So I'm really excited to be able to do those Railfan outings. And we'll be posting those on the website too shortly. But yeah, I'm really excited to be able to start doing those again. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up the show for this evening? I think that should do it. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, make sure you do that. Thank you so much for watching our live program. And then, of course, you can always watch it on the channel once it's there. We're really excited about that as well. So if I don't see you trackside, we'll see you next month for Train Aficionado Live on the second Wednesday of the month, which the next show will be June the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. So hopefully we see you again live right here on the channel. Have a great night. Be safe out there. And get out there and do some rail fanning while the weather is nice. Have a good night, all.